Hello, this story did not happen to me, but a relative of mine. Some backstory: they are a family of five staying together: parents, two siblings, and my grandma. So, my grandma has been staying with my aunt and my cousins for a while before she passed on. On the day she passed, the whole family came down and everyone was greatly affected. My grandma was one of the nicest people in the world, and she took care of us all the time equally. I frequently visited my aunt's house just to meet my grandma, and she would constantly give me pocket money and cook for me, even though she was not well herself. However, it affected my cousins the most since they have been staying with grandma since birth, and at that point in time, they were around 12 years old and 9 years old already. After that day, my aunt realized that her younger daughter started spending less time with the family and locked herself in her room more often. Let's call my older cousin P and my younger cousin Q. To make it easier, my aunt started become suspicious of Q and thought that she had a boyfriend. So she decided to ask P to be her spy. The next day, P told my aunt that Q claimed to be talking to grandma, and she asked P to keep it as a secret. After my aunt told her husband about this, Q received a very bad scolding, and they reinforced that grandma is no longer around. From that day onwards, she was forced to leave the door open, and P was forced to sleep in the room with her. A few days went on and nothing happened. However, about a week later, weird things started to happen. P claimed that Q started creeping out of the room slowly and started talking to the grandma in the kitchen again. She informed her mom again, but this time, instead of confronting her, my aunt and her husband decided to eavesdrop the conversation. Initially, they thought that Q was developing mental issues like depression, but when they eavesdropped the conversation, they knew something was not right. Q was giggling the whole time while talking to grandma. The conversation also sounded real. They talked about what she ate, what she did in school, and her problems. They eavesdropped for a few nights, and one day they decided to take action. When they stepped into the kitchen, what they saw really proved to them that Q needs professional help. In Q's hands was raw chicken meat, and she was reaching out across the dining table as if she is feeding someone. My aunt screamed, and Q was startled. I wasn't there to witness this, but I could imagine how bad it was. He told me that Q started crying and asking, "Where'd the Nana go?" I forgot what happened next, but the next morning, my uncle brought an ustaz over to help out. Ustaz is like a Muslim version of the priest, for those who don't know. The ustaz came and Q immediately acted weird. She wasn't possessed or anything, but she kept on asking why the stars came and say she don't like it. When the stars started reading some Quranic verses, Q started shouting in Malay, "Stop, Nanak is in pain." No one else saw Nanak except for Q. Also, we Muslims do not believe in the spirits of the dead, meaning once you passed on, you will go to the afterlife and won't come back as a spirits. The ustaz asked my aunt whether she kept any items that grandma left behind. That's when my aunt realized. Q kept the dress or maybe pajamas that grandma wore on the day she passed. That's when my aunt realized Q kept the dresses and maybe pajamas that grandma wore on the day she passed. And to be honest, it was filthy. They took the dress and passed it to the ustaz, while my uncle held Q in his arms since she was getting restless and wanted to stop my aunt. Ustaz placed the dress in a bucket of water that has Quranic verses read into it, something like holy water. The Ustaz explained that the filthy clothes attracted certain jinns, also known as demons, and it took the form of grandma. The jinn took advantage of Q's emotional state to use her. After the whole ritual, the dress was disposed and Q was quite affected by the whole thing. Eventually, Q became better and now she is back to normal. Personally, I do not find this story scary, but I thought it's a really good story to share. I find this story more of a sad side. Sad because the love all of us had for the grandma, especially Q, was shown, and moving on may not be easy for everyone. I know all of us still miss grandma, but we all know that she is in a better place.